Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Natalie. Thank you for stopping by today. I have a little card for you today that is using the small candy cane with a bow add-on. We're not going to use the bow. I'm going to die cut it out quite a few times, but I'm just going to show you one on camera because I don't want to bore you. I am colouring these with Copic cut markers. Now you could intertwine these. I'm going to colour this top section in white and the bottom's going to be the red, but obviously you could go the other way around if you so see fit. I'm pretty much using the C3 around the edges and then blending that out with a little bit of C1 and then an O just to make sure it's a nice smooth transition. I have R89, R89, R46, we'll try that one, R24 and R22. I'm going to go over this 2 times. That does give me a much better blend, but also with these small little narrow candy canes, and I'm going to have the top layer on the top. I want the outside to be pretty dark so you can still see some nice contrast in between the 2 layers where you've got the holes in the top layer. And we've just got going back and forth around that until I'm happy with the colouring. This is going to give it a really rounded look, and you're going to see that in the card at the end. I think it's a pretty cool card. This is the Merry Christmas script stamp. I'm going to stamp this quite a few times. It stamps beautifully first time, but I'm going to use the VersaFine ink, which is a pigment ink, and I'm going to just make it really just nice and thick and juicy. It stamps pretty well. I'm going to use a bit of white embossing. I tend to go white embossing over black rather than using black embossing powder because I found it was a lot harder to get a nice crisp image without little flakes around. Using a little bit of the liquid glue that we have just to add all those together, and I will need to trim a couple of them. I think are a little bit wonky, but I'll trim that up. I'm not getting any younger. So I've got all that heat embossed, and I'm going to lay out all my candy canes. And what you can actually do is use some of these this is where I had to trim him up just ever so slightly. I think it was pretty much just the 1 or 2 of them. That was about it. You know, the eyesight is not as good as it used to be, but it worked out really well. You can actually use all these extra pieces that are off the edge of the card. I'm going to just to fill in gaps, and we're going to see that a fair bit. This will give the impression that the design keeps going. So if it was all smooth paper, this is going to have a lot of dimension in it because we've got the candy canes that are raised up, obviously. But if it was a smooth paper, it just gives the impression that the design is still like a continuation. I have cut these out of scrap cardstock that was in my stash, and that is why you see me pulling off backing paper, but just to make sure that I have a little bit of wriggle room, and because there with the die cuts in this too, it is a little bit, it's almost like it's concaved the way it's cut, because obviously with the dies you've got that pressure going around the edges, so it sort of forms this little dome. So I'm just going to make sure that they're nicely adhered down. Do you need to do that? I don't really think so, but I just had to. Sometimes you just have to do these things. In order to get this to sit the way I want it, I'm just going to trim that off, and we're going to have him sticking over the side just ever so slightly. This is also going to give the look that the candy canes are also, like, they're not all going in the same way. The other thing you could do is colour the opposite side. Use your bone folder to flatten out that concave and just swap it over, and that's super easy to do as well. We're almost just using all the little scraps and little bits and pieces just to fill in all the edges on my card. And then I'll use a pair of scissors just to trim those off. So it took a little bit to get it done in the sense of colouring, but it's pretty easy, and I think it's I love the white, black and red combination. I just think it's really, really striking, and it's I really love it. So we'll trim all those off with the scissors, and I'm going to use this little slither just to give the extra little tiniest slip of candy cane. I've coloured all them in. I'm trying to use as much as I can because I spent time and I coloured them in. I have a little tiny bit of glue oozing out the side, which does happen with using glue, obviously, but that comes off nice and easy. The last thing I'm going to pretty much do, well, there's two more things I'm going to do with this card. I'm going to mount this up on some black cardstock. Then once it's on the card, I'm actually going to go over it with some glossy accents. So this is going to give it that really shiny look, and it's going to give it, like, it has a lot of dimension. I think they look very dimensional and very rounded, but the candy canes are usually glossy, and so that's going to finish that card off. So yeah, it's simple in design in the way it's all sort of set out, but it does take a little bit of time with the colouring. But honestly, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too long at all. You have to excuse my head every now and then. Here we go with the last of the glossy accents. I will leave a link down below to all the products or over to my blog, and you can have more photos and see the products in person. There's also another one that's got a candy cane with the bow attached. That's it for me today. I hope you're well. Take care, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.